Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new video here on UMad Bros. Elden Ring Nightreign. I finally got to play this absolute masterpiece during the network tests that they've been rolling out over the last couple of weeks. Now for those of you that don't know, they have been conducting network tests for the last few weeks. So you applied, and then if you got granted access, you were sent a code, and then you were allowed to play 8 to 10 hours or so of just game in pretty much really early access form. So you got to play through one of the maps, you got to kill some of the bosses, you got to play with your friends. It was a fantastic experience just to get to actually try this game so many months before it comes out. And I thought I would make this video here to share my full experience on the game. So I'm going to fully walk through how the game plays, any issues I had with the game, and and most importantly, what I would like to see from the game. Now, stuff I will say, this will obviously spoil quite a bit of Elden Ring Nightreign if you want to go into this completely blind, not knowing any of the bosses they've added, and you really love the Elden Ring and you're already going to buy this game. I would just say the game is absolutely fantastic. You should buy this game, but click off the video now if you do not want to hear a very detailed explanation of everything that's in the game. But if you're the kind of person that would like to be well informed before you buy and want to know all of the cool stuff you can do in the game, then 100% stay through this video because I'm going to fully explain how a match is played, roughly how long a match is, the rewards you get, the characters, and just generally just everything I found from my experience in the 10 or so matches I played at Elden Ring Nightreign. But without further ado, let's get right on with this review. I hope you enjoy. Okay, so Elden Ring Nightreign. I did not know what to fully think when I heard about this game. As a lot of people, I was also very confused when they announced the game because they have pretty much primarily made single player stuff. And for those of you that have played any FromSoft game, you know their network code or their internet speed is terrible. Like, usually there's hackers galore, the ping's immense, so you'll be hitting people online, the blood will be splattering, but they just won't be taking any damage. The amount of times I've had situations where me and a friend are trying to play online and he's put his summon sign down and I just can't see it, and it'll take us like 10 minutes of just re-putting it down and picking it up and putting it back down again, and like turning the game on and off until we can eventually see it. Their online has always been janky at the best of times, but like the jolly cooperation meme, and like when you finally get to play online, it has been really fun. But there's been so many issues of it, like you can only really do it outside of bosses, and then if you do summon during areas, you can't go too far, it will fog wall off areas, and it has been one of the most restrictive online experiences in pretty much any franchise. Like, you kill a boss, and you get immediately kicked back to your own world, and you've got to put down your summon sign, and some areas don't even allow summon signs to be put down. And it's just, it really, really restricts like the freedom of just playing with your friends on online multiplayer. But Elden Ring Nightreign, they announced it, it was a fully online experience. They kind of described it like Battle Royale at first, which had a lot of people on the defensive about it, saying this could be FromSoft's first like stinker they ever dropped. Because they announced it kind of like you drop into a bit of the map and it's like randomized, and people were like, is this going to be a Battle Royale? No, it is definitely not a Battle Royale. It is a very different experience, and it is very good. Okay, so a match of Elden Ring Nightreign. Basically, at least for the network test, there were 4 playable characters. So it's not like normal Souls games or normal Elden Ring where you make your own character and then you get loot that you keep forever and you go through the character creator and make a absolute mess of a person. There's 4 playable classes. Each one of them has a normal special attack and an ultimate attack, and each one of them kind of plays a bit differently. So some of them can roll, some of them can't do a full roll because they're quite heavy and they can only do a backstep. Some of them can do like a 2-step slide kind of thing. So there's, from what I remember, there's Wilder, who's your very generic knight guy. He has like a grappling hook and he can hook onto enemies and fling himself incredibly far forward. And his ultimate attack's great. He has like a big explosive fist that he punches with and it blows up. The one I played as the most is a birdman called Guardian, who his ultimate attack is just he jumps like 50 feet in the air and then just dive bombs, and that can knock pretty much any enemy over or stagger quite a lot of enemies. There's a lot of horse enemies that will just knock completely off the horses. So he's really cool. There's a mage, I think she was called Recluse, and I tried her at my very final match. That was the very last thing I did in the network test, was try her because she was the last one I hadn't tried. And she was pretty fun. She kind of absorbs elements, so her special attack is just you absorb the element off an enemy, and then when you have 3 elements stored up, you kind of hit them with like a big blast of all 3 of the elements you have stored up, which is quite cool. And then the third character, or the 4th and final character, was called Duchess, who was more of a stealth support character, so she could turn invisible, she could heal, you could turn other players invisible. So overall, just the 4 different playstyles. You have the quick agile, you have the heavy tank, you have the heal support, and you have the long range mage. Overall, generally, they've covered the full breadth of at least the 4 starting characters they need for the start of the game. And then a match is typically around 40 to 50-ish minutes long. Matches are actually quite long in this game. It is not a multiplayer game where you just dive in for 5 minutes. Matches are you sit down and you play a chunk of Elden Ring. So it is kind of like you start a match. You can do the password system, which is cool. I'm so glad they had that enabled for at least the last time I played the network test. The first time they didn't have it enabled, but you can type a password in and just play with your friends if you want. And it's not summon signs anymore. You just type a password in, hit search, and then you and your friends join the same match. I don't know why it's not always been like that with Elden Ring, or just I get the lore behind why he made soapstones in the first place, but I think we're far enough into the future now where it's like, yeah, we get the reason why you did it, but I would just prefer smooth, easy online rather than the weird summon sign way of doing it, where you've got to both be like either like in Demon Souls remake where you got the Stone of Inferior Eyes, and there's only a limited amount of those. You can't really play with your friends if you run out of those, and it's like, why? But in Nightreign, you type the password in and you play. And then you see all your characters doing a cool cutscene and walking out, and then it will drop you into a random part of the map. At least for the network test, I imagine for the full release, it will let you fully steer and drop wherever you want. But for the network test, your bird would just pilot itself, and it would just drop you to one of the general four corners of the map. And it was kind of a fully new Elden Ring kind of map. It was just kind of like an amalgamation, kind of like how Fortnite has it, where it is kind of like they just take pieces, towns, and stuff, and just kind of mesh them into a map. It was kind of like that. So there was like a castle that's on its own in a field, and then there was just a tiny bit of like a blighted swamp kind of area, and then there was like a little mountainy bit, and it was just kind of like generally quite large, just area to explore. And it comes up like a clock, and it just says it's the first day, and then you can split up, you can stay together, you can do whatever you want, and you just explore the Elden Ring map. You get loot, you kill bosses, you just generally just play Elden Ring, and that was a really wide, a really just crazy experience. Just I landed in my first 2 days. I unfortunately, since the passwords were off, I had to play with strangers. I might get some flack for this, but for those of you that have not played the network test, playing with strangers is actually really not how I think they intend you to play this game. With other Souls games, obviously like the Jolly Cooperation, they kind of intend you to play with randoms, and that's kind of like the experience of online. You summon a stranger and they help out. But this game is very, very much designed to play with your friends because coordination is so needed in this. And since it's a bit more competitive, where you get loot drops and you can all see the loot drops and you can take each other's loot, you will get some bad actors who do just run around sprinting ahead of their team to open the chest first just so they can take all the loot. And I did unfortunately experience a fair bit of that. So I feel like this is very much you play with your friends so you can actually coordinate, especially when some of these bosses are very, very difficult free player tag fights where you all have to coordinate. If you just have someone that just wants to be a DPS tank and they think they're better than they are and they die 5 seconds into the fight, you are cooked because now it's a 3-person boss and there's only 2 of you left. Or if you get a guy that rage quits because you steal his loot, or you get the drop from something and then he'll just quit the game. Like, very much, it seems like they did design this around playing with your friends, which I think is exactly how I wanted it. At least I have 4 or 5 friends that really love Souls games, and we're always kind of sad we can't really do a 2-player run of any of the Souls games other than just killing the bosses, and then some areas you can't summon, so we just have to play it on our own for like an hour while we like get to the next area we're allowed to summon. And if you run out of embers and stuff, you just can't summon at all for the run, which is eh. But this was very much so. My experience on the first day, I'll explain just a general example of the first match I had on the first day. So we dropped in. It was me as Wilder. I think one other guy was also Wilder, and then one person was the support character, the Duchess. And then, since we weren't talking, we didn't coordinate. We all landed in. Wilder bombed it towards a castle that was literally like a mile in that direction. The Duchess, I don't even know where the Duchess went. I turned around and she was pretty much just jumped off a hill and was just gone. They've also fully removed fall damage. They've made traversal in this game just better as a whole, so you now have like a very fast sprint. So you have the default, you hold a button and your character runs fast. But then you have you tap another button and your character will do like a kind of wind sprint, and it will be like 5 times faster than the usual sprint, which makes getting around the map way better. So they may have removed torrent, but you can run probably faster than torrent could run anyway, which I think is just a very nice feeling, just parkouring around the map. They've added wall running and like climbing and stuff, which just makes getting around the map so much better. I really hope that stays in the franchise because it's one of those features where once you have it, it's going to be very hard to go back and not have it. So yes, you do have just more just parkour options, and it is so fun getting around the map. But yeah, I saw them all running in 3 different directions, and it is very much designed around 3 player. So there are a lot of large groups of enemies, which do require like at least a few of you to kill, unless you're quite good at the game. But we all somehow survived the first day entirely on our own. We would occasionally see like them dropping health on the corner of the screen, so we just assumed they were fighting something, or like a boss health bar would appear at the bottom, and like we just assumed that one of those is fighting the boss. But then the end of the first day happens and the storm circle starts shrinking, kind of like Fortnite. So it will kind of pick an area of the map, start shrinking a storm circle to there, and then we all met up at the end of the first day where the storm circle had finished shrinking to, and then it spawns your end of first day boss, which is where I'm about to get a bit spoilery again with what the end of the first day boss was. They have already said there's going to be 8 to 10 different runs you can do when the game launches, and they will obviously add a load more down the line. So it's just a random, for the network test, it was always one of 2 bosses, and it was always the same 1 of 2 for the first day, the same 1 of 2 for the second day, and it was always the same boss for the final boss. So there wasn't a massive breadth of differentiation in the network test, because it was just mainly to test obviously the network. But in the main game, they have said there will be loads of different randomized combinations it can generate of bosses and map layouts and other stuff. But the end of the first day boss I got, which I did not know was in the game, was the Centipede Demon from Dark Souls 1, which I was very hyped when I saw, because the only boss I knew was in it a little bit from the trailer was the Nameless King. I didn't know they were adding other bosses. I thought they were just like, let's just throw that in the trailer just to make people hype. But the Centipede Demon was there, which means they are adding stuff from Dark Souls 1. And the fact that they started with the Centipede Demon makes me think they will add the better bosses later, because if they started with stuff like Gwyn and Sif and Artorias, I feel like there obviously wouldn't be anywhere to take it from there. You've already added the best bosses. So I feel like they're starting with the Centipede Demon to kind of give you just a piece of like, we're adding Dark Souls 1, we're just starting with this boss that everyone kind of thinks is okay, and then we'll add later bosses. But it was a reworked Centipede Demon. It was actually a really fun fight. So it was just the Centipede Demon and 3 of us against it, but it had a load of new free player mechanics, like if you cut off its heads, it would split into smaller Centipede Demons, and then there were quite a few Centipede Demons running around the arena, which works very well. And now its big jump attack, since it no longer has a ceiling it was hitting, it was actually doing a much higher jump attack and dive bombing. Whereas in the first game, I uploaded a video on the channel years back of the Centipede Demon just jumping through the ceiling and falling out of the arena and dying, which I've had happen numerous times my runs of Dark Souls 1. That can't happen now, because we were fighting it in the middle of the woods, which was another cool thing, just seeing like the Centipede Demon and just the Elden Ring map was just a strange experience anyway. Yes, surprisingly, I only found the Centipede Demon once in all 10 runs of my network test. I just didn't ever spot it again. Yes, day 1 ends. Whenever you kill a boss or a mini boss or anything around the map, you get perks. So it will kind of give you a choice of 3. They can be like you have 10% more health. They can be when you start sprinting, you do an explosion. They can be like your ultimate attack recharges faster, or all your attacks now do poison. Just typical, just random perks you can give your character. And you don't share those ones, so only you can see what perks you got. So that's why you can't steal each of his loot, and you can just pick your perks. And then the second day started, similar experience again. The 2 of those ran off, or at least the guy who's playing is the same character as me, run off. The Duchess this time kind of did the spam shield emote to kind of signify like hello, kind of in the Souls franchise. She kind of just spammed her shield block, which signified, do you want to team up? And I was kind of like, yes, finally, we're doing some cooperation. So then me and her explored a few caves together while the other guy just went off on his own. He did die once on that day. If you don't die to a boss and you just die during the day, you do respawn, but you do respawn with all your souls taken off you and like a few debuffs. But yeah, so me and Duchess had a great time. We went around some caves together, we killed some bosses together. That is when I was truly like, okay, if this is how much fun I'm having with a random guy, I'm probably going to love this game if I'm playing it with a friend, because me and Duchess were having a load of fun. We were helping each other. There's a ping system, so we were pinging each other some loot, because she was mainly using claws and quick weapons. I was using big, heavy stuff. So she was pinging me heavy stuff. I was pinging her claws. It felt like co-op, you know? It felt like we were actually teaming up on each other. And then at a random point of the second day, one of you will be hunted. At the minute, Margit is the only one that can hunt you, but it is basically just one of you will get a crosshair symbol over their heads, and a boss will spawn next to that player and just gun it for them, and they will not care about anything else. You can be hitting them, they will ignore you, they will pretty much just go for whoever is currently marked, which kind of once insinuates you should be teaming up and sticking together, because it spawned on the other guy who was the complete arse opposite end of the map. So we just heard the opening cutscene for Margit. We heard him being like, Lord of Gold have forsaken the Elden Ring or whatever. And then we were just like, was that Margit? So me and the other guy were on edge because we didn't realize it had spawned somewhere else. We thought it was spawning on us. And then we just stopped hearing Margit talk. So we were like, was that just a random line of Margit? Was that meant to play? So we kind of ignored it. And it wasn't until he died and then Margit started saying like, you have been slain or whatever. And then the next game when Margit was aiming for me, I started realizing, oh, the other guy must have been getting chased by Margit somewhere on the complete other end of the map. Well, you should have stuck with the group, because shit like this can just kind of happen, you know? yeah, we went through the second day, and then for my first literally 6 matches, I could not get past the second day because it was always with randoms. The first play session I got access to, I played 3 matches. The second play session, I played 3 matches. All times, the password feature was disabled, so me and my friends couldn't play. So I was just playing with randoms, and it's very much not designed for random play. As much as I want it to be, because I really want to play this game a load when it comes out, and if my friends aren't online, I'm just going to go into solo queues because like I just want to play on my own or with friends. I really don't want to play with randoms because it was a bit of a rough experience with randoms. Because on the first day I didn't have anything too bad. It was usually one guy would stick with me, the other one would like completely run to the other side of the map and just try to solo stuff on his own because he's like an amazing Souls player or whatever. But the second day was when the kind of cracks really started to show playing with randoms. So on the second day, the very second the first match started, before we'd even fully landed in, one of the players quit and it doesn't put a bot to replace him. It doesn't tone down the difficulty. At the minute, they have said they will add that at some point, like at least the kind of heightening and lowering of the difficulty. But a player quit straight away, so we were kind of screwed off rip. But since the matches are like 40 minutes long, me and this guy tried to win it on our own because I didn't want to quit and also leave this guy. So me and this other guy were actually a really good team, and it was annoying because I came closer to beating the second day boss with this one guy than I did with all 3 of the people from the nights before. So with one less player, him and me were actually really in sync, which I was kind of like, if that third player stayed there, we probably would have actually won the whole run because we got the boss literally 1 hit off kill. But the second day boss was basically like a 3-horse triple like threat. So it was the big kind of night horse from the very start of the game. It was the big red lightning horse that was guarding the capital from Elden Ring. And then it was a third horse, I can't remember which one, but it was basically just a trio of horses. And it would be just it was really hard for 2 of us because it was just 3 massive knights and they'd do the red lightning and that'd be hitting some of us that aren't even looking at it because we couldn't talk. So we couldn't I couldn't warn him, hey, he's about to do the lightning strike, turn around. Because like he'd be fighting one of his horses and I could see the big lightning thing about to strike him. And there's zero way of me actually informing him. The only way you can ping is if you open the map and physically ping, but he's obviously not going to see that. I'm not going to open the map mid-boss fight. So that's when crack started showing. I was like, I can't communicate at all to this guy to say, hey, there's a horse about to throw someone at the back of your head. So we did die. We killed 2 of the 3 horses and we got the third one very close to death. Yes, that was my experience for the first 2 days. It was quite rough. It was just none of us coordinating. There was a lot of rage quitting and loot stealing. I've even seen some Reddit posts of people receiving hate messages from the network test of people saying like, you stole my loot or you're the reason we lost the run. And it's like, why are you treating this like the full release? You're not going to get to keep any of this loot. This is a network test. Your character's getting deleted when the network test ends. Like, I hate people that treat network tests like they've bought the full game or like they're entitled to the full release and they're complaining there's not enough content and stuff. And it's like, you signed up to test the network and you're not testing the network. You're just playing it like an esports player. You know, you're speed running, you're running off on your own, you're trying to solo things, you're not playing with people, you're just sending hate messages and that's always like a pet peeve is like, why are you treating a network test like the full release? And I got that quite a bit on mine. So on the second day I had a lot of like loot stealing and people were just robbing my loot quite a lot where like people would be like literally like running around me and like sliding to chests and like quickly opening it and mash picking everything up before they even read what anything is. Just literally like they would just loot all 6 items that were in the chest and then like run to the corner and then when they saw you weren't near the corner they'd then drop it in the corner so they could actually have a actual look at all the stuff they got. And it's like, why are you playing like this, man? Like they deliberately make it so there's enough loot for 3 people. Whenever there's a chest, there's 3 chests. They're always in like a triangle, so you're obviously meant to go there with your friends, stand in the middle and open all 3 chests at once and just kind of have like 3 people's worth of loot. But people like this, where they just, while you're fighting an enemy, they will leave you to fight that enemy on your own and they will just run to the chest, quickly open it, loot it all, and then come back. And it's like, why are you all playing like this? It made me so sad. But yes, then day 3, they enabled passwords. Finally, this was the last play session I ever had on Elden Ring. I have a friend that's also very good at Souls games. Me and him have the Platinum Trophy on basically every Souls game. We both have Demon Souls, all 3 Dark Souls, is Elden Ring, Bloodborne. We have pretty much all the Souls Platinums. So I was immediately like, this is going to be a true network test now on the 3rd day of this is what the game's actually going to feel like to play. And within 30 seconds, I was kind of smiling because I was like, this is Elden Ring. This is what playing online Elden Ring should have been from the start. Where we dropped in and he just said, where do you want to go? And I was like, that's not a question I've ever been asked in Souls because it's always, you have to go that way because they fog walled off everywhere that's not leading to the boss arena. And you're not allowed to go with me back to Firelink or literally anything. And I'm like, just him asking what direction do you want to go in. It's like, that's such a. I remember smiling instinctively, being like, we could actually just be like, you see that 4-5 minute walk in that direction. Let's go check out what's in that. Or like he could be like, hey, you see those chests down there? He could tell me when he's under attack and exactly what he's under attack by. Whereas if you were just playing with randoms, you'd have to just do the general. There's an enemy here, ping, and you won't be able to say what enemy's here. You would just ping at random. But yeah, it was so fun. So we went on a 4. He took like the higher floor. I took the lower floor. We met in the middle. Whenever there was a boss, if one of us was hit, I could hear him on the mic actually saying he's on low health, so I could actually just know to hit the boss with my ultimate or whatever and stagger it to knock it off him for a second while he healed. And it was just, I cannot stress how much easier the run was. We did 2 runs together and we won both runs after having 8 runs with randoms and not even getting 2/3 through the run. We won 2 runs back to back. The only 2 runs I played with him, we won. And it was just such a better experience sharing loot. He'd be like, I've just found a staff, I'll actually pick it up and bring it to you, because I was playing as the mage. And every so often I'd be like, I know you're playing with like swords or whatever, I've just found a quicker sword that does bleed, I'll bring it to you. And we were just trading loot, and it was just such a nice feeling of, this is jolly cooperation. The only way you can truly get jolly cooperation in this game is having friends and just sharing in jolly cooperation, you know? But yes, we beat the run together. The final boss is now one of my favorite bosses in Souls. It's so cool. I would love an ornament of this boss, as I do have a lot of ornaments, as you can vaguely see here. There is a whole shelf here of like 100 ornaments, but sadly the camera only gets. I might have a whole vid going over the collection at some point. But yeah, this is an Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I think this was the collector's edition when it came out. I do have a whole rack of just ornaments of so many different figures and replicas and stuff. But I would love a figure of the final boss, because it's Cerberus, so it's a big 3-headed dog. But when you get it enough dead, all 3 heads split off into 3 individual Cerberus dogs. So it kind of like each one tackles one of the players, and it was just such a good 3-player boss. It does this really big chain spin, kind of like Kratos, where it does a big like blade on a end of a chain, and it spins it, and you've got to jump over it. Like, just a fantastic boss, amazing soundtrack. The arena was so cool. It's kind of like the end boss arena of Dark Souls 3, but like 10 times large, where like the sky is doing mad stuff, the sun's like an eclipse. It was a chef kiss. It was one of the best bosses I've played in a Souls game for quite a while. And just having 3 of us walking into it with a full-on cutscene where all 3 of us are in the cutscene with our skins, and just a beautiful experience when playing it with a friend. And then match ends, you get your rewards. They're called relics, I believe they were called. They're basically like gemstones. These are the only permanent upgrades, at least as of yet, that I can see that you get. So you get coloured gemstones, and each character you play as has different colours they're allowed to slot in. Each character has 3. So the default kind of knight guy has 2 reds and a green he can slot in, I think it was. So if you get a red gem, you can put it in one of his red slots, and a green gem you can put in his green slots. And they just give you general buffs for the runs, so you always start with your 3 gems that just give you general buffs. So I had stuff like all my attacks inflict 5% Skylark Rot. I had stuff like just, your swing speeds 5% faster, just general, just little buffs you can take in, so you at least get some permanent upgrades that you can take into the future runs and stuff like that. So I quite like that. You do still get some permanent upgrades, but yeah, so that's generally how a run works. You can go back to the roundtable hold. There's like a training arena where you can test out like your character's ultimate attacks and stuff, which I feel like will come into play a lot more in the full game when there's like 10 characters or whatever, and you can probably swap out ultimate attacks and test out your gear and stuff there, which is cool. Yes, generally that is how just the general gist of Nightreign plays. So that is just generally, beginning to end, that is how a match works. You drop in, it's a day cycle, you meet up at the final location, you beat the boss, you get your reward. It will then fully remove the storm. It starts the second day, you do the second day, you beat whatever the second day boss is, and then it will, if you beat the second day boss, a portal opens up and you can walk to the final arena. There's one last shop there for you to buy, like Estus restocks, or you can just buy like smithing stones and craft some stuff there. And then in the full game, you vote on what you want the final boss to be. I forgot to mention that. In the network test, you just get whatever it is, which is Cerberus. But in the full release, the 3 of you will vote on what you want your final boss to be and kind of customize what your big final end boss goal is going to be. I'm assuming that means you can set it to really hard and get better rewards, or the easier final boss and put it to easier rewards. But yes, that was generally how a match played. Now I would like to go on to what I want to see as a veteran of the Souls franchise. As I said, I've platinumed every single Souls game except for Sekiro, but that is one I will be doing at some point this year. I've platinumed all Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring. I have put thousands and thousands of hours into Souls. I've streamed some challenge runs on my Twitch before in the past, which I will be streaming again on soon. I've not streamed in about a year now, but I will be streaming again on Twitch soon. But yes, I'm a veteran of the Souls franchise. This is just going to be my thoughts on what I would personally like to see from Elden Ring Nightreign when the full release happens. So personally, this might be controversial. I think this has the potential, not a guarantee, this has the potential to be the best or at least the most fun Souls game, because it is just it can just be the best of every Souls game combined into one Souls game with just actual good online. The online of this game ran very, very smooth. That is something I was very surprised by. There was not a single ping issue. Swings were exactly where the swings were supposed to be. So when friends were swinging, enemies were always staggering to the exact hit that was hitting them. There was never a bit of delay. Every roll I did was always perfect, and I always rolled the attacks perfectly. There was never any hiccups at all with the ping or attacks not connecting that should have connected. But yes, this has so much potential to be my favorite Souls game by not even a close margin. Just 3-player lobbies with 2 of my friends at a time, diving into a map and just seeing my favorite bosses from each of the Souls games. It doesn't even have to just be bosses. What I'd like to see as well is weapons and normal enemies and maybe even locations. So imagine you drop into a Fortnite style map. It's just loads of fields, hills, and all that stuff. But it's kind of just pieces of all the Souls maps and Souls bosses dotted around. So you see a tower from Anor Londo with the elevator, and you can explore that. And in there's all the Anor Londo enemies, and then in the Ornstein and Smo arena in there is one of the bosses in the first game. It doesn't have to be Ornstein and Smo. So you just go in there, maybe there's the Asylum Demon in there, you kill that, and then you get just weapons and gear from the first game, so you can get the Black Knight equipment or the Gravelord sword, and then just, you're riding your horse through the swamp, and then you see maybe the spider area from the second game, and then you see the giant spider but it's the giant spider from Demon Souls in that giant spider web area from Dark Souls 2, and you could just mix all the Souls games together into one. And another thing I thought would be really cool to add is a Halo-style Forge thing. I know they're never going to add full map customization where you can place stuff around the map, but I think they could add a kind of customize your run thing, and then you could post the run to the community, and then you could vote on best community maps of the week, or best community runs of the week. And then you could have communities, so a community would choose so you could go on the customized mode, for example, pick what you want the first boss to be, the second boss to be, and the third boss to be, and you could kind of build a challenge run, and then you could post it, and then other people could play it. You could send maps to your friends. If they add that, I feel like that could add so much replayability to the game, because even when they stop adding content to the game, you'll still have the fan base adding maps for years after release. So you could have a full animal run where someone's toggled off all enemies that aren't animal related and all the bosses are animals. You could have a full animal run, so the first boss might be Sif, the second boss might be one of the big spiders, the final boss might be, I don't even know, a trio fight between Sif, the wolf from the DLC of the third game, and then if there's a third wolf, I can't think of a third wolf, but if there's a third wolf in them, you could just have a 3-dog tag fight. You could have 3 dragons in one arena. You could have, just fully customizing your own runs and post them could be so good. Just messing with the difficulty, being I half health but double rewards, for example, and then you post that as an ultra hard community task. I'm assuming there's going to be dailies and weekly challenges, which would be cool, which would be quite cool to see. But other things I'd like to see, obviously seasons and battle passes are generally quite, not bad, but looked down upon more over the years. I feel like they could be quite cool in Nightreign. Just imagine, they say, okay, for this season, we're focusing primarily on Dark Souls 3, for example. And then the Battle Pass is just so many skins and ultimate attacks to do with Dark Souls 3. So maybe you unlock the Solaire class, and then you can play as Solaire as one of your starting classes, and then you get Solaire specific emotes like Praising the Sun. You get obviously Solaire spells, and he's a completely different playstyle from the other classes. That could be really cool. When you get to tier 100 of whatever the season is, you get one of the fan favorite NPC characters to play as from that season. That would be fantastic. That would be a dream. And then the glider you come in on at the minute is just a hawk. You could obviously come in on maybe those pink things that fly at Anor Londo. You could come in on the giant manta ray from Demon Souls. There's so much potential for just nostalgia 24/7. Just dopamine hits. You could play as Sigurd or Siegmeyer or any of the Knights of Katarina. You know, maybe you could play as boss themed classes. So you could, in the Dark Souls 3 season, you could unlock the Soul of Cinder, and then your ultimate attack and special attack could be like maybe switching between his different stances or that kind of thing. That'd be really hype. I'm just picturing so many custom runs, like a tag boss battle with the Soul of Cinder and Gwyn, and it's kind of like a mix of both of their theme tunes into one, kind of like it was in the third game. And then there's two of you going in there dressed as like Ornstein and Smo, and just taking on these two Souls of Cinder. Like, just this could be actually so good. If they do just add like a full-on like sparring arena almost, where you can just put whatever boss you want in it to test your gear, and just this has so much chance to be just one of the best Souls games of all time, and maybe just the most. If it's not the best Souls game of all time, because it will obviously have some issues because it's online, like servers can drop, obviously, or like, you know, they could just start really screwing over the game with microtransactions. But like, I don't see FromSoft doing that. There's obviously going to be some microtransactions, I imagine. Like, it's kind of hard to make more money on an online game. It is dropping for like £30 as well, which I think that's like 37, 38 dollars or so last time I checked. So it's, you know, it's not that expensive a game, so they will obviously do battle passes or skins or something. But since the characters you play as are actual classes and not just skins, like the characters you play as do actually move different and play different, that could be really good. How Fortnite has battle passes of skins you unlock, this could have battle passes of actual like classes you can play as, which would be way cooler. Just playing as all the NPCs and the bosses from all the different games, or at least classes themed around them. So like a Gwyn class, and you can pick enemies up with the grab and hit them with the juggle attack, or you know, you could do his big like skewer attack where you put him on the end of your sword. Like anything like that. But like, just let me know in the comments what other stuff you'd like to see from Nightreign. They're the main ones I'd like to see. Just literally just please support this game for at least a year or two. Don't just move straight to the next Souls project. Just give us a good 1 or 2 years of just every 2 or 3 months. Say we've added 5 more bosses that we've like reworked to work in free player. We've added another map you can play, so it's not just the one map. We've added like 6 different maps, so when you start a match, you'll pick one of the 6 and you land there. And there's 50 bosses, there's 100 bosses, there's normal enemies from each of the games, so you can be walking around and get shot by like the Analondo Archer Knights, or you can get charged by a mix of skeletons from all the games, like skeletons from Dark Souls 2 with skeletons from Dark Souls 1, maybe like Gravelord Nito, and he summons like skeletons from Dark Souls 1, or like he summons skeletons from Dark Souls 2, for example. Like a big clusterfuck boss battle where it's like the Prowling Mage's congregation with the Deacons of the Deep, with like the skeleton boss from Dark Souls 2, and just have a clusterfuck fight where it's just thousands of enemies in one arena. Since all your ultimate attacks do like big explosions and stuff, just you're just in a sea of millions of enemies trying to find the one you've got to hit to lower the health, and you're just seeing like bird guys jumping up and dive bombing into the crowd, and like you're screaming out to your mates that you're like getting absolutely dogpiled, and just think of all the possible wacky things we could now get. That's not just we're going into Sif's boss arena, we're going to see the cutscene, it can only play out one way, we already know the weakness, he's not going to change his fighting style. Like, it kind of does become samey in Souls. I've obviously done about 50 runs of all of the Soul games at this point. I've beat Dark Souls 1 10 times, 2 like 5, 6 times, I beat 3 like 40 times. But like, it does get quite samey. Even if you're doing a challenge run, when you're this many runs deep, bosses don't really get any different. There's not really any randomness to it. You go in a boss fight, I've done so many of the bosses hitless now that it is like I go into an arena and I'm like, I know exactly your parry timing. Even if I'm using a wooden shield, you know, I can still beat you relatively easily. When I last streamed Elden Ring, I went into the first boss fight against Margit completely naked with just a rapier, hitless the entire boss fight. And that was when I started kind of feeling there's not really a challenge run I can do now that would re-spark that joy and discovery in Elden Ring for me. Which is why I'm so excited for Nightreign, because just if it fully randomizes every run, so it has a pool of 100 bosses and it will just pick 3 at random and put that in a boss fight, it will be dozens and dozens of runs before you ever see the same combo twice. And that is what I want from Elden Ring Nightreign, please. Just so much content could be added to this game. They have said there's going to be 8 different runs it can do at launch, so there's going to be, how I played one of them in the network test here, there's going to be 8 final bosses, and then I think 40 or so random things that can happen during the run, so the guy that hunts you on day 2, there's like probably a pool of 8 to 10 of those, I think they said. So it's going to be just a lot of different things. I'm looking forward to seeing who else could hunt you. It'd be cool just hearing like, just not even a boss, just like a character hunting you, like Sigurd of Katarina or something that starts like chatting shit, and you know when he's about to be hunted by Sigurd. Just like the Black Hand Assassins from Elden Ring, I think they're called. Like that'd be cool if you start getting hunted by the Assassin League or whatever. There's like 6 of those scattered around the map that are tracking you down. Like, just could be literally anything. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I really wanted to talk to on this. This was more of a ramble video, just kind of fawning over how much I want to play Nightreign. I can't really show much here because, like, I don't think they want people really showing gameplay. Because when you boot up the game, it does block your ability to record any clips on the console. So I do feel like they don't want people showing too much. But I have seen a lot of people just discussing fully how it works. So this is just my talking of exactly how Nightreign worked to me. But yes, I have loved Nightreign very much so. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. What do you want to see from Nightreign? Obviously, this is just my experience as my time as a Souls player. I feel like so many of you will have a completely different take. I've seen a lot of people who haven't even played the network test commenting on issues they had with the network test, which is a weird thing I've been seeing. Like, I saw a lot of people saying, why did they let you play with... I saw the one thread that was really confusing where a dude was talking about, like, he doesn't get why it's even letting you put passwords and play with your friends, because the whole point of online and Souls games is to play with random people, and I really didn't get that, because it's like, if you played Nightreign, you would fully realize this kind of needs you to play with friends, because there's 3 of you and the map is massive, so if you're trying to communicate without words, hey, there's an Estus Flask upgrade 500 feet in that direction, but you only have 2 different ping options, either ping item or ping enemy. There's no way of getting that point across to people that are 5 miles underground fighting something in a cave. Or, like, if you're getting chased by an enemy and they can't see that, just pinging enemy won't get the point across of how in danger you currently are. It could just be, hey, I've seen an enemy I want to go fight. It could be, hey, 6 dragons are currently in my location and I'm dying. You know, it's like, having the ability to talk is so crucial in this, which you can obviously get in public chat with Mike, but obviously you're going to get the bad actors, you're going to get the loot stealers, you're going to get people that rage quit. I got so many rage quits, people that went down and just left without letting us even try and revive them, because you can revive someone. It takes about a minute for you to, like, bleed out, and even if you bleed out, you do respawn after, like, literally a few seconds, so all you would have to do is wait. But I've had 2 different matches where someone would go down early on and just leave the match immediately, even though they only get access to this network test for 2 hours, so they're just wasting their own time. And everyone else's time, because now we can't win the run with only 2 people. But, like, so yeah, I do fully think this game is heavily designed to be played with your friends, which I think is great. Just the 3 of you picking classes which complement each other, one of you being a healer, one of you being a mage, one of you being the tank that takes all the damage. Just, you can all pick the same character currently, so there was one match in Nightreign where all 3 of us picked the tank. We had no healer, we had no support class of any kind, and everyone was just a slow tank character. And we did get quite far, but that was very much like if any of us got injured, we stayed injured because no one was a healer and there was no fast character to distract the bosses. If it was fast, we would all just be stood there shield blocking to guard. So, like, you can just get matches like that where if all 3 of you pick the healer, you're kind of screwed. Like, you don't really have any DPS. Like, if you come up against a boss which has high defense, you're kind of cooked. Yes. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. This was just my Elden Ring Nightreign rant. Overall, phenomenal experience I had. I'm so happy I got to just experience Elden Ring Nightreign for the first time. Just months before the game release. I'm buying it day 1. That is going to be pre-ordered. I saw, other than playing with randoms, I saw 0 issues when playing with friends on this game. The ping was perfect. It got into matches fast. It felt really balanced. Like, there wasn't really a time where I was like, I'm really screwed, I don't have too good gear. And there was never a time where I was like, this is really easy, I have fantastic gear. It was always kind of just felt like it was giving me stuff based on just keeping me so I was just staying alive but still feeling the stress of Souls, but without giving me anything which made me, like, completely dead. And since you have friends, you can fall back on people if your gear is a bit worse than theirs until you find something better. And obviously you can ping each other some loot and trade stuff, so it never felt like I was not getting a good experience. Like, just the bosses always felt fair and balanced. The final boss felt just really good and perfectly built for 3 people. Even bosses like the Centipede Demon were reworked to work with 3 people, so I'm looking forward to seeing how other bosses I rework. Like, if they add Sif, obviously they won't add him exactly as he is in the first game, because he'd be so easy with 3 people, because he's already quite an easy boss once you know his, like, strategy to beat him. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Might be a tag battle with Sif and Artorias in the arena, which that would be one of the hypest moments in all of video games. Like, maybe if you kill Artorias first, he chucks the sword to Sif, and then Sif catches it with his mouth and then turns into sword mode. But before that, he's just a normal wolf. Like, there could be so many cool mid-boss cutscenes depending on the combinations of different bosses you kill first. I'm going to stop ranting here. I don't want this video to be like 5 hours long. I can see now I've already recorded for 40 minutes, which, to be fair, I thought I was going to go for about 2 hours. But yes, as I said recently, my 1,000 subscriber goal was going to be reactivating my Twitch account. If those of you don't know, in the bio of the channel, I believe I do have a link to my Twitch. About a year ago, I used to stream challenge runs. I did a full Spider-Man without swinging run, which is still on the channel. You can find it in my favorite video playlist, where I did a full challenge run on stream of Spider-Man without swinging, and I have trimmed it down into a nice like hour-long vid with a compilation of all the times I like got game overs and stuff. That was a really hard run. I died so many times because we were playing on ultimate difficulty and I wasn't allowed to swing, so chase scenes without swinging got very difficult to keep up. So I had to learn so many paths to run across the ground to keep up with people and stuff like that. But in preparation of Elden Ring Nightreign, in about 2 or so weeks, I will start streaming Elden Ring. I'm going to most likely be doing some kind of challenge run, or maybe just a fun run where I just use all of my like favorite items from Elden Ring, just as kind of one last, because it will probably be the last time I play Elden Ring for many years, because Nightreign is just kind of going to be the boss rush of Elden Ring mode. But yes, so I will be streaming on Twitch again in a few weeks, so if you guys want to see that, please follow me on Twitch. I will be doing that in a couple of weeks. I'll probably only be streaming 1, maybe 2 times a week max. I don't get too much time to stream. But I will most likely just be streaming pure solos up until the release of Nightreign, and then I will be streaming solo runs of Nightreign, because you can play it fully solo, at least after they release it. They have said you can play it on your own, and it will just be single bosses, not like trio fights, which that also sounds very, very fun. Just boss rush from all bosses from the series. That just sounds beautiful. Yes, we're currently on, at the time of recording, I think 996 subscribers, so I am so close to the 1,000 subscriber goal I set years ago. Obviously, I went a while without uploading while I went to study, but just the fact that I'm finally about to hit the 1,000 subscriber goal, thanks to all you beautiful people that are subscribed, is just insane to me. Video views as a whole have been going up loads on the channel lately. Like, a couple of videos have been getting like 5 to 10,000 views sometimes. The shorts are generally getting like 800 to a grand views each. Like, generally across the board, the channel's just grown a lot over this last half year. I've gone from 400 subs to nearly 1,000 subs in around 6 months, which is just huge growth, like 100 subs a month. So, like, just thank you all so much for all your support. I hope to see some of you over on Twitch. I'd love to speak to some of you in the chat about your thoughts on Nightreign when I start streaming Elden Ring. I respond to every comment I get, as long as it's not just like a thumbs up. I will try and respond to every single comment I get. So give me your thoughts on Nightreign down below, where you think I'm stupid, where you think I'm on the money. Like, just, I'd love to talk to you guys about Nightreign. So I hope you enjoyed my 45-minute ramble fest. I won't bother any more of your time. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week, and whatever day you're watching this on, I hope you all have a fantastic day. I will see you all in Nightreign. Maybe on stream when Nightreign comes out, I might have the password in the Twitch chat, and you guys can join my lobby, and we can Elden Ring Nightreign together. The night will reign in Elden Ring. Yes, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for all the support on the channel. I will see you all in the next video, but for now, peace. I've just noticed my stutter barely activated for this recording. I didn't even clock that until I just realized I've barely stuttered during this. My brain must have been so Elden Ring focused, my stutter just turned off. But yes, I do have a very bad stutter. If you've watched pretty much any of my shorts, you will have heard me stutter a load of times. When I'm really having a passionate run and my brain kind of talks at 500 words a minute, my stutter does often just turn itself off. At some intervals, my brain just devotes full power to the rant I'm having, so it's just weird to have this rant and not stutter. I'm going to go immediately back to stuttering after I can feel it. But yes, see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Peace. Love you all.